Hey y'all, it's me again. I'm going to continue reading from my book, The 1900s. Henry Ford and his motor car for the masses. Stuart H. Holbrook. Did you know? I found this out years ago. I think like 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. When I went to my great grandpa's funeral memorial service. I forgot which one it was because it's been so long. Anyways, I went to that and I found out from that my great grandma's father, I think my great grandfather or something like that. You guys could comment down below on how the family tree works, since I'm so confused. Anyways, her father built a church, and one of his congregants of that church was actually Henry Ford, the actual Henry Ford. You know, vroom vroom, car, Henry Ford. Yeah, they were friends. So yeah, let's continue. In 1903, Henry Ford organized a new company in Detroit, the Ford Motor Company. The Ford Motor Company. Author Stuart H. Holbrook relates how Ford, whom Holbrook calls the Great Tinker, turned his company into a billion-dollar operation and revolutionized the American way of life in the process. Holbrook writes about how Ford overcame all opposition and designed and produced the Model T, or Tin Lizzie, the first motor car that the average working person could afford to buy. In Holbrook's view, the Model T became the nation's sensational gadget before he became an editor and author of numerous successful works about American history. The late Holbrook had a varied career as a semi-pro baseball player, a reporter, an actor, and lodger in Canadian lumber camps. Holbrook also was a lecturer for several years at Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and at Boston University in Massachusetts. Two unrelated events of 1909 marked the twilight of one era for Americans and the dawn for another. In the same year that saw the passing of Edward H. Harriman, the great railroader, Henry Ford launched his Model T automobile. Ford's announcement contained as little grace as the thing he was talking about. "I will build a motor car for the great multitude," he said pompously. He went on to remark that the Model T was to be so low in price it would be within the means of everyone, and wound up with a reference to deity and a resounding cliche. Everyone in his family concluded Ford could, with his new car, enjoy the blessing of hours of pleasure in God's great open spaces. The professional advertising men may have gagged as well as they might, but in the next 19 years, Ford made and sold 15 million copies of his Model T and stamped his name indelibly on the era. Ford had nothing to do with inventing the internal combustion engine or even with the assembly line method of manufacture, which was already old when Ford was born. What he did was to take both the invention and the method and tinker them into near perfection. He did more than that. His theory in regard to wages created or rather forced a new philosophy that Ford's contemporary manufacturers found hard to accept. The dawn of the horseless carriage. The great tinker, or the divine mechanic as he has been called, was born on a farm in 1863. He did not want to be a farmer, though his gaunt face and angular frame were considered characteristically rustic, and he did not like big cities or big city people. As soon as he was able, he left his father's acres, where his only interest had been farm machinery and cheap watches, and went to Detroit to work in a powerhouse. His spare time was spent wooling and tinkering, mostly with the gasoline engine of his own contrivance. Other Americans were tinkering with similar engines which they were attaching to buggies. Still, other Americans were applying electric power to buggies, and the traditionalists were using steam power for the same purpose. In the summer of 1893, Charles Duryea braved ridicule by running his little gasoline machine up and down the streets of Chicopee Falls, Massachusetts. A year later, a horse's carriage built by Elwood Hines and the Apperson brothers, Elmer and Edgar, made the 4th of July memorable at Kokomo, Indiana. Meanwhile, Henry Ford had put together a machine that would run pretty good. Only lack of money prevented him from taking it to Chicago in 1895, where an endurance run for horses' carriages had been sponsored. In that year, there were approximately 300 motor vehicles in the United States, mostly homemade affairs. England had more than twice as many. Possibly the first motor car made strictly for sale in the United States was developed by Alexander Winton, marketed in 1893. After that, things began to happen rapidly. The fast money boys were quick to sense a new opportunity for stock issues. During the first 4 months of 1899, at least 80 concerns were formed, allegedly to make one or another type of motor car. Their stock issues totaled, I think, $3,038,000, and though few of the companies made many cars and some made no cars at all, the amount of stock offered for sale indicated that Americans who had been bilked with canal stock bilked again with vertical stocks were positively gluttons. Then on Christmas Day 1900 occurred an omen of the new great age in the making, when in New York City a young woman was knocked down and fatally injured while crossing Broadway by an automobile vehicle. The Ford era had arrived, even though the Ford Motor Company was 3 years in the future. Please rate, comment, and subscribe down below. And ring that bell notification so that you can know when I upload, because I have no clue when I'm able to. Because, yeah, I don't know when, because I'm busy and whatnot. And if you're on TikTok, please like and follow my videos. And please pay for something on my Mercari and eBay, or eBay, okay? Bye!